How's it going, people? Sam and Slappy here, and this is your quest guide for Dishonour Among Thieves. Literally just come out a second. Happy days, let's get into it. So, quest-wise, you need Missing Presumed Death and Haziel Cult complete. You need 30 Agility, 30 Thieving, and at least 65 Combat. Required items are the Invitation Box, and I highly recommend some combat gear and food. Obviously, using pots will also come in handy, and the Dragon Medallion will also be useful for convenience. But either way, once you're ready with your invitation box in hand, go ahead and use it to teleport to the Imperial Citadel. So once you're here, just go ahead and speak to Moya. She'll be pretty much directly next to you, and spam through the chat. Up to you if you want the audio on, it's entirely up to you. It doesn't matter what option you give, whether you tell the truth or lie, it's entirely up to you. And as soon as you do, you can accept the quest. Go ahead and do so. Spam through the chat again. And again, answer however you wish. It makes no difference. And carry on spamming through the chat. Upon which you will receive another item. And as soon as you finish talking to her, you will appear in the Shadow Realm and Sliske will appear in front of you. Go ahead and talk to him. Choose option 3, continue. Spam through the chat some more. Choose whichever option you wish. It's entirely up to you. And spam some more. Once you're done, you'll reappear inside the Imperial Citadel. And go ahead and click on the item you've just given, the communication device, to activate it. And go ahead and teleport to Zamorak's hideout. So once you're here, go ahead and chat with Zamorak. It's up to you if you want to kneel or stand. Run through the chat some more. And again, it's up to you which one you choose. And finally, once you finish chatting nonsense to him, go ahead and talk to Moya. And then run through every single one of her options. You need to run through all of her options to find the locations of all of the people we're about to go and collect. The only one you need to be worried about is the last ones, Morgul and Anakra. Leave that for now. Don't actually click teleport when you run through the chat with it. So choose the Morgul and Anakra, run through all the nonsense. You'll be asked if you want to be teleported. Go ahead and say no for now. Once you've run through all of the names, it is now time to start collecting them. So first things first, go ahead and home port and make your way over to Ardone. And the first one we're going to be collecting is Haziel. In order to get to Haziel, you need to go to the clock tower, and just east of it is a cave. Go ahead and enter, and then jump on a raft, and that takes you to Haziel. So from the lodestone, pretty much run over to the west side of Eastern Ardone, and then head south. You'll hit the clock tower there, and then just head into the cave just a touch to the east of it. If for whatever reason, when you try to click on the raft inside Haziel's mine and it doesn't take you to Haziel's hideout, it means one of the water valves around the clock tower has been changed somewhere along the line since you've been playing this game. I'd highly recommend going and checking out a Haziel Cult quest guide in order to find out how to set the valves correctly. But either way, if you haven't touched it since you completed the quest, you should just go straight over to Haziel, so you shouldn't have any worries. So once you're at the clock tower, just to the east of it, as I said, there's a cave. Go ahead and enter it. There'll be a raft right in front of you. Go ahead and jump on that. And then run south over towards Haziel. Once you're here, go ahead and chat with him. Run through all of his nonsense. And it's time to do a little job. So once you've finished speaking to him, go ahead and home teleport back to Ardone. And we need to go to the mansion in the centre of Ardi with the dogs all around inside. So from the lodestone, the house is literally south of you. It's a big giant ass mansion. Around the back of this mansion is a trapdoor. That is where we need to go. So make your way inside. So once you're down in the trapdoor, you will be in a little prison cell. Go ahead and speak to Jared around the back of the wall. Run through his chat for a bit. Choose whichever option you wish. Run through the chat some more. Again, choose whichever option you wish. Run through the chat some more. And once you finish with them, you can open this chest here. It'll give you a tiny bit of gold and some Dungeoneering tokens and a couple of sapphires. Either way, just to the south of this room is the butler just dead on the floor. Go ahead and search him for a cell key and release Jared. And as soon as you do, that'll be the first members collected. Happy days. So moving on to the next one, you now want to home teleport and make your way over to Drainer Village. And we need to go and see Death. Just north of the Drainer Lodestone is the portal to Death. And that is where we need to go. So once you're here, jump into Death's portal. And you'll find the nomads trying to kick Death's ass. Either way, run through this little conversation between Death and Nomad. Choose option 2, continue. And whichever options you want. And then continue running through this conversation. Once you do so, Nomad will also join your team, so that's 2 down, happy days. Next you want to home teleport and make your way over to Al Kharid, as we need to make our way over to the Uza ruins. So go ahead and exit Death's portal, then home tele straight over to Al Kharid and make your way to Uza. So the easiest way over to Uza is literally just outside the Shanty Pass. Go ahead and catch a carpet ride straight over there. Nice and simple. So once you're finally at Uza, make your way inside the ruins just to the southeast of the carpet. And right in the centre down here you will find the next lad we need to recruit. So go ahead and talk to Chunky Marjara, Mr. Gazard. Run through all of his nonsense. Choose option 3, continue. And then choose option 1, go to the Shadow Realm. So once you're in this little Shadow Realm, just head a touch to your north and you'll find a dead bird on the floor. Go ahead and search her. And then quickly read through her journal. And you'll reappear back in the normal world. Go ahead and speak to Xard and hand the journal over. Job done. Right, moving on to the next one then. You want to home teleport and make your way over to Tavali. And we need to make our way into the Tavali dungeon all the way over to the Black Knight's little fortress area inside it. So from the lodestone you want to head south to where the bank is, then head east just across the bridge. And just southwest of that, where the wheat field is the entrance to Taverley Dungeon. Make your way inside. If you have high enough agility, then you can skip through the Blue Dragon section, and that'll get you to the Black Knights area a little bit quicker. But assuming you're a relatively low level, you probably wouldn't have 70 agility for it, so I'll show you the long way around. So as soon as you enter, make your way north until eventually there's a pathway to your east, which you can go through a gate. Make your way through this first gate, and then make your way through the southern gate, and follow this pathway all the way around to your east. Then when you get to a fork, go down to your southeast and you'll come across some axes. In this little room, just stick to the west and head south. And as soon as you can, carry on going west. Follow this pathway around with the scorpions and keep going all the way south until eventually you hit a room with hill giants, ignoring the bridge. From the hill giants, keep going south again, and you will now reach the Black Knight area. You want to run all the way to the southwestern corner of this entire little section here with the Black Knights. Once you're in this southwest section, you will find Lord Decarius just standing there like a melon. Go ahead and speak to him, and run through all of his nonsense. Choose option 1 about this quest. Run through all of his chat. There's another chest here you can open to get some more free stuff if you wish. Either way, just to your east is a preaching Black Knight right next to the giant world map. Go ahead and speak to him. And you can either choose to persuade or threaten him. It's entirely up to you. I prefer roundhouse kicks because they're awesome. So, there you go. So, that is 1 out of 3 done. From here you want to head to your north and into the northern section of the Black Knight Fortress. And then in the northeast corner of this section, where the kitchen is, there'll be a bunch of knights just standing around chatting. Go ahead and talk to them. Again, you can threaten them or try to convince them. It's entirely up to you. Threats seem to work better, although that might just be my personal preference. So pick either one and you resolve the situation, and directly west from here you will come across the barracks in the far west side. In the northwest corner of these barracks is a chest. Go ahead and open that chest to receive some poison. With the poison in hand, you now want to go back and speak to Lord Decarius once more. Run through all of his chat, and there's another one complete. Happy goes. Right, so from here you want to click on the communication device and teleport to Zamorak's headquarters. And the reason why we skipped to Morgul and Anakra earlier is because we're going to be doing it now. Go ahead and speak to Moya. Choose option 1 and then ask about Morgul and Anakra. She will then offer to teleport you. Go ahead and say yes, and this is the first part of combat in the game, or in this quest so far. So there'll be a couple of zombies here. Just go ahead and kill them. It shouldn't take much. You probably need 1 food if you're relatively high level. All you need to do is simply kill all of these and then make your way up the steps and speak to Anakra and Morgul. There's nothing major going on here. Literally just poke the zombies until done. So there we go. Once all the zombies are done, climb up the stairs and go ahead and speak to Anakra and Zamoragul. Quickly run through the chat, choose whichever option you want, and then run through the chat some more. Then choose option 3, continue. Spam through the chat some more. And those are the final participants, so there we go. That is all of the people collected. Choose option 1, yes, and you'll automatically teleport straight back to Zamorak's hideout. And then you'll have a little bit of a cutscene just round through all of this. And from this section on, it's basically the infiltration and the boss fight, essentially. The infiltration part, you won't take any damage, and it's fairly straightforward. The boss fight, you can die from it, and your grave will appear just south of the barrows, which is where we're going to be heading to in a second. But you can go straight back in, pick up your gravestone, and you can continue from where you left off, so from the boss, basically. Choose whichever option you want in the chat in this little cutscene. Is of no consequence. So the boss essentially is safe. You can get back to your gravestone. So before we head on down there, let's bank first. So make your way to your closest bank, whether that's Providence, Edgeville, whichever one. Just need to go to your bank to stock up for the boss fight. The boss isn't particularly weak to any kind of combat, so use whichever is your best and get your best combat gear out as well. Ideally bring along some combat pots, whether it's a superset, an extreme, an overload, whichever is the best you currently have. You may want some prayer pots or a prayer renewal as well, as the boss fight, well, you can do quite a lot of damage, although it is fairly straightforward and simple. I do believe it does scale with your level, so tactics should essentially be the same for everybody. It's just the damage scales up the higher level you are. Once you've geared up and you've got your food and pots and everything else on you, you need to make your way down to Barrows. There's a few ways to do so. If you've got the Dragon's Medallion, simply telly there. Run through the swamp from Canifis Bank straight down here is the other. And finally the other one is to catch a boat ride from the secret underground pub route. Either way, you need to come down to Barrows and are on the south side outside the fencing. You will find the cave entrance we need to go into for the boss fight and the infiltration mission. There's another chest here. If you want to open it, you can come back and open these. So if your inventory's full, don't worry about it, you can leave it. There's not much from these boxes either way. As soon as you're ready, enter this little cave. So first things first, you need to make your way through this massive cave system. It's fairly straightforward. In the first room, run all the way to the far west side. And you want to take the northern door. In this next one, you want to make your way down to the far south and go through the western door. In the third cave system, you want to make your way to the northeasternmost corner and take the western door, or northern door, either way. From this next one, you want to go to the northeastern side of this cave and head through the eastern door. In this cave system, you want to run directly to your east and head through the eastern door. In this cave system, make your way all the way up to the far north of this end and go through the eastern door. And last but not least, make your way all the way up to the north and take the western door. So that was the easy bit done. The next bit is a bit of a pain and very hard to actually explain what you do need to do. Hopefully I can do so and all will go well. So run through the cutscene and skip through all of the chat. In this entire next area you walk pretty slowly throughout all of it, but there's 4 buttons you can press which will appear on your screen which allow you to quickly roll in different directions compared to where your character is facing. You'll understand more when you see it. We'll run through the chat and choose whichever options you wish, it doesn't particularly matter. And we'll move on to the meat of this little section. So you'll appear right by here to begin with. Go ahead and don't move to begin. The idea is you want to try and move and knock out this white as quickly as possible. At the top of the screen you can see the 4 buttons. They allow you to roll left, right, forward and backwards depending on where your character is facing. And if you click to walk, you walk pretty slowly, so you do need to make use of these. So as soon as you start, if you face north to begin with, as soon as that white turns away from you, you want to roll left and then roll forward twice and then knock him out. And after that you want to watch the pulses that the 2 masks give and wait until they stop, which is every 3 pulses, and make your way into the central little corridor to pull this lever. So the masks pulse 3 times in this area, so wait until the 3 pulses has happened and then go ahead and make your way across. It's fairly straightforward, although the radiuses are pretty hard to actually see on high detail, so you may find life will be a bit easier for you if you do lower your graphics. Once you've pulled that lever, you now want to make your way up to the northwest of this little room and then past the far western mask in order to pull a lever down where Jared is currently standing. So once you're here, pull the second lever and you'll move on to the second room. It's easier for you to see this in the video what you need to do than me to try and explain it. It's fairly complicated to explain, but it's easy to understand, if that makes sense. Either way, once you're in this second room, you want to make your way into this little central area with a large corridor making its way up to the north, and you want to stand against this wall here and face north. There's a shadow going back and forth in this corridor which is very, very hard to see in high detail, and essentially you need to wait until just as it starts to turn and make its way north, and then double roll forward and make your way into the eastern room, knock out this white and pull this lever. The shadows in the corridors are very difficult to see and you may not even be able to see it on this video, depending on how YouTube lets me upload this. Either way, once you've pulled that lever, you need to make your way back inside this corridor and you want to roll out just as the shadow passes and then roll all the way back down to where we first came in. So once you're here, you now need to make your way over to where Jared is. So there's another mask here, wait until the 3 pulses are over, then go ahead and pass through. And this section you want to stand just at the edge of this little area right by here. And we now need to knock out this white, so wait until he comes down and as soon as he turns away, go ahead and try to assassinate him. You may very well need to make use of your rolls here in order to catch up to the white before he turns. What all you need to do is simply assassinate this fella, like so. And make your way north just a touch. There's another mask here, in fact there's 2. There's one facing to the west and one facing to the north. It may be difficult for you to see on this video, but as you're doing it in game, if you lower your details you should be able to see this. Again, same tactic as all the other masks, wait till it pulses 3 times and then make your way past them. On the east side of this little section here with the 2 masks is the final lever in this room you need to pull. So wait for the 3 pulses and pass it and go ahead and pull the lever. So once the lever's been pulled, you're now into the third room, and this is the most annoying of the lot and may take you quite a few attempts in order to do so. But once you're in here, first things first, literally you want to go and knock out the white directly to your east as soon as you enter. So wait until he turns away from you and just go ahead and kill him. Once you've done that, you want to make your way into the tiny little corridor just to your north, this one here, and line up on the edge, and there will be a shadow which will pass back and forth through this little corridor. Wait until it passes, and in the room almost directly opposite of you is another white facing the other way. Go ahead and knock him out. Once you've done that, you now want to make your way back to where that lever was in the southeast corner and go ahead and pull that. Be careful of the shadow that paths back and forth in here. And make your way over here and pull the lever. If at any point you do get caught, if you haven't already, you will just appear straight back at the start of this room. So once this lever's been pulled, you now want to make your way up to your north, and there'll be another white here passing back and forth. Wait until he turns and then knock him out. Next, you want to make your way up into this northeast corner. Be careful not to walk too far up to the north. There's a lever in the northeast, but we're not going to pull that yet. There's a shadow path back and forth in this corridor, and you've got the white just to the side. Ideally, here you need to time when the shadow and the white are pathing back and forth, so you can roll forward, roll to your left, and then knock out this shadow. This one is pretty much all about timing in order to kill that white without getting caught, either by the shadow or by the white itself. So once you've knocked out the white, you now want to go back the way you came. So roll right and then back. And just to the west of here is another little room we need to find. There's a white pathing back and forth in the corridor, and you've got the shadow that comes back and forth here, so you need to time this correctly when both of them have passed, so you can roll through to the other side and knock out this white. There's a lever just to the northwest of you. Go ahead and pull that. And the white which is in this little room will move up into the northwest corner, allowing you to knock him out. So as soon as he makes his way up there, go ahead and kill him. And then pull this lever in the center of the room. We now need to make our way back up to the northeast corner in order to pull that lever. So from here, make your way back towards the center. Be wary of the white walking back and forth and the shadow that goes back and forth this corridor. And go ahead and make your way across. And make your way towards this northeast corner. So in order to get this lever, you need to time when the shadow goes back up towards the north to roll forward and then roll left. You then want to move forward one space and then time when the shadow just passes you towards the south, then roll right and north again in order to get to this lever in time. Once you're here and you have successfully pulled this lever as well, go ahead and get caught by this shadow, so just simply roll backwards into it, and you'll appear at the start. From here, make your way to the west, and then follow the western path all the way around, until eventually you come across Jared, who's now at the north of the room, and he's actually killed one of the whites for you. So once you're here, just time it to kill this last white. Make sure you avoid the shadow that passes back and forth in this corridor. Make your way to the north to pull the final lever to open this final door. So this little section we just did is probably the most annoying part of this quest. So congratulations on getting past it. Now we're moving on to a fairly annoying one which may take you a few attempts. And there's a lot to focus on through this, so I dare say watch it before you actually go ahead and try it, because you need to maintain multiple things at once. So first things first, throughout the entirety of this little section, you need to keep telling Jared to go out and find these little footprints and track them down. Basically, you click on Jared, take control of him, and then you can choose to turn left, right, follow the tracks or exit. Basically, you need to turn him around till you find some tracks, then tell him to follow the tracks and he'll start to walk off. Eventually you'll find a guard, at which point you then need to speak to Moya in order to Jedi mind trick them. And I'm sure you may remember this from the Fremenic trials if you've done it. If not, what you need to do is simply move your mouse throughout this little window until eventually it starts to pulse. If you don't have your music on and the sound effects on in-game, I would highly recommend putting them on at this point because it makes this little Moya thing a hell of a lot easier being able to listen to the pulses. So you move it around until it starts to pulse rapidly, then click and you'll probe the mind. The entire premise behind this is you need to do that 5 times. Moving Jared to tell him to go hunt the guards down, and then using Moya to take control of their mind, to probe their mind for that. However, there's 2 other things you need to maintain throughout the process of this, and that is the Nomad and Anakra will keep pouring power into the doors here. If you face the door, you can see on the door's face a meter. Anakra lowers it, and Nomad will raise whichever side they are currently on. So if Nomad is on black, and black is currently almost full, you need to switch it so Nomad starts to put in white, and Anakra starts to drain black. You need to balance those 2 so it neither goes empty nor full on either side. And simultaneously, after you've found the second memory, Zamorgul will start to join in and he will start casting portals. On the east and west side of this room you will find 2 giant doorways, or 4 altogether, and there'll be some glowing eyes that will appear. Essentially you need to tell Zamorgul to place his portals where those eyes are. So as you can see, you've got to tell Jared to move around until eventually find these footprints, tell him to track it. There's eyeballs for me coming up in the southwest corner right now, so I've got to disable the northwest one because there's nothing there, and enable the southwest and go ahead and accept. So Zamora will start casting his portal magic down there. And then I've got to click on Moya because Jared's found a guard in order to Jedi mind trick them. All the while, you've got to remember to focus on Nomad and Anakra and their little power struggle on the door. Because if that door, one of them gets full and one of them empties, that'll end it and you've got to restart this from the beginning. Same with Zamorgul, if you don't place his portals in front of where the glowing eyes appear, then you will lose and you'll have to start again from the beginning of this little section. It's fairly annoying. This may very well take you a few attempts. Hopefully I explained it. I really do. Essentially, control Jared, make him hunt down guards. Once the guards have been found, control Moya to mind control them. Simultaneously, while all of this nonsense is going on, make sure Anakra and Nomad don't fully blow up the door, either fill it or empty one side completely. And simultaneously make sure that Zamorgul's portals are in the correct position to block the glowing eyes from the tunnels. And that is pretty much it. Essentially, you need to maintain all of this until eventually you have Jedi mind tricked 5 people, and you can move on to the next section. So, hopefully I explained it. Yes, agreed. It's kind of annoying. It may very well take you quite a few attempts to get the hang of it. But yeah, that is essentially what you need to do. So maintain the power balance between Anakra and Nomad and manage the portals. Those are the most annoying, and remember to tell Jared to sod off every single time he comes back. So either way, once you've done this for 5 Jedi mind tricks, once you do so, that'll be this little mini game kind of thing complete, and you can move on to the next section. So run towards the giant face door and make your way through. And coming up is the boss fight. So the boss is coming up right now. There's not many tactics to it. Relatively, it's straightforward and easy, but he can bang out some massive numbers if you're not careful. Run through all of the chat, choose whichever options you wish, it doesn't particularly matter, just keep running through it and you'll run into the boss fight pretty much straight away. So the boss itself is you. You fight your pseudo self, essentially. He's got a few attacks. One of them, he will bind you in webbing, much like the Araxi fight. If you do get bound in webs, all you need to do is spam click. Nice and simple resolution there. Other than that, you want to stay as close to him as possible, within melee distance throughout the entirety of the fight. Basically, hug the man. Hug yourself. Some kind of self-appreciation. I don't know what's going on here. Either way, stay next to yourself. If you don't, he will basically cast darkness on the entire arena and you will start to take some hefty numbers. So it's much easier just to stand next to him. If you get bound like that, just spam click by the webs. Just simply spam click, and eventually as you're killing him, he will tell you to jazz, which is in the center of the room. If you do get telly to jazz, you want to run away as quickly as possible. Basically, he'll tell you and himself to jazz like this, and then some dodgy little poison gas will come out, and it'll start to fall down these stairs and will run all the way from the center all the way till the far wall. So don't stand where I am here, otherwise you'll take huge numbers like you just seen. 6k damage straight off the bat just by standing there. You want to come down off the stairs and off to the side of it to avoid it, and then you want to run back to the boss and stand next to him again, otherwise he will cast darkness and you will start to take some big numbers worth of damage. Other than that, this fight is fairly straightforward, to be totally honest. Stay next to him. If you're bound by webs, spam click, and if you get teleported to jazz, run away. That is essentially the tactics for killing this boss. As long as you follow those, you really shouldn't have any problem whatsoever killing this thing. So that's not the end of the boss fights, this is just part 1. Moving on to the next fight, you actually take control of Nomad. And basically the goal as Nomad is to kill all of the whites. So basically you need to run around this room, basically in a huge circle, and stab all the whites in the face until you've killed at least 30 of them. At the top of the screen you will see Nomad's face. It'll also tell you how many whites you've killed, and there'll be 3 little buttons. Those are Nomad's special attacks, and one of them in particular you can make very good use of. The one on the far right that looks like some dodgy pink grass kind of looking thing, that is a huge kind of AoE attack, but you need to be relatively close to the whites. So in a situation like this where there's like 6 whites there, if you use that special attack, it'll annihilate all of them for you. A bit like this. So yeah, that is essentially all you need to do for this section. Just run around, click on the whites, and kill 30 of them all together. Ideally, the sooner the better. Other than that, that's pretty much it for this little Nomad section. The other 2 special abilities didn't seem to be all that useful, to be totally honest. You can place down the mines around one of the NPCs, and hopefully they stay there long enough for when the whites come, it'll explode on them and they'll instantly die, just as they appear. The only other one worth making use of, as I said, is the AoE. If one of them gets completely and utterly surrounded by loads of whites all at once, stand relatively close to them and use our special ability to eradicate all of them. But yeah, it's nice and easy. As long as you don't stand still like a melon, you should do this without even trying, to be totally honest. You one-shot all the whites, just run around in a circle and kill 30. Job done. So, once all of the whites are dead, you now gain control of yourself, and you're in the Shadow Realm, and the Stone of Jazz is in front of you. Go ahead and click it and choose yes. And you get even more power from the Stone of Jazz, because you're mental. You'll then appear in the fight where Nomad and stuff is, after you've run through all of the chat and the cutscene. You'll be doing monstrous amounts of damage, and essentially you need to run around and kill all of the dulls or fake Majoras and whatnot that's currently around before your team dies. That's all you gotta do. It's fairly straightforward. Use some pots, praise if you want, and just go around and batter them. You will take pretty much no damage, if any at all, during this little section, but you will be banging out like 20k damage. So, that's per hit. Essentially, run around and kill all of the aberrations until all of them are dead and all your mates are saved. So kill the center, make your way to one of the sides, kill in a giant circle, job done. Again, this is kind of similar to the Nomad section. As long as you don't stand there like a clown doing absolutely nothing, you shouldn't be able to fail this. It's fairly straightforward, run around, stab it in the face, job done. Not much else to it. And that, honestly, is pretty much the entire quest. All you need to do is simply kill these 8 apparitions, and once all of them are dead, you get treated to one giant ass cutscene. I do mean pretty huge, gotta be said. Lasts quite a while. All of the options in these cutscenes are completely and utterly up to you. None of them are really needed for anything. There's no right or wrong answer. You pick an option and it'll move on, essentially. So that is pretty much it, people. 'Tis all there is to this quest. So with that said, congratulations. It's not bad at all, is it? So for completing the quest, you gain a K.5 XP lamp, which you can put into any of your combat skills. You'll gain a K.5 thieving XP, a K.5 agility XP, and 500 dungeoneering XP. You will also gain access to Jarod's Cape as a cosmetic override and as an item. You will gain the Tiny Haziel pet, which you can summon whenever you wish. You gain an upgraded Mask of Sliske and your 2 treasure hunter keys, and obviously you get 2 quest points. So all in all, something or nothing as a reward. I mean, you get a pet, fair enough. Bobblehead Haziel is pretty cool looking. I'll give him his due. It's not bad. But yeah, stat-wise, an XP bonus. You don't really gain a lot from it. But the story is pretty damn good, and the quest itself wasn't bad. It's kind of different from everything else that's in the game at the moment, so yeah. In that case, I'd say it's a pretty good one, no? Either way, people, hopefully you found this guide useful, and you've just completed the brand new spanking quest, and you now have lots of information on laws and good things. Either way, I will catch you all later. Have a good one.